It's time to talk sports. It's Hacksaw's Headlines, a panorama of the world of sports, stories, comments, and opinions. Now, here's iconic sports talk show host Lee Hacksaw Hamilton and co-host John Riley.
Who wants to talk sports on a Friday? We do, you do. From the DIXIELINE Lumber and Home Center studios in San Diego, on the eve of the great sports weekend with the start of the World Cup of Soccer underway, we welcome you to a special Friday podcast. Good afternoon, everyone. This is Lee Hacksaw Hamilton, along with my co-host with his opinions from left field, John Riley, and we welcome you to Hacksaw's Headlines. Our special Friday podcast is brought to you by DIXIELINE Lumber and Home Centers. 8 locations to serve you in San Diego. You got projects, they've got materials, you want ideas. They can be your best friend. They can be your consultant. Go to DIXIELINE.com to see all the things they have to offer. John Riley, good afternoon. My God, it's 92 degrees outside with 75% humidity in San Diego. This is supposed to be America's finest city, and it's blazing hot. You're lucky you're not out in left field doing this podcast. How you doing?
Oh, yeah, we be baking out there. But this is a great sports weekend, isn't it, Lee? I mean, all the festivities, the World Cup. I mean, it's a great time to be alive.
Yeah, that was on a couple of Canadian sports talk shows this week. And I said, we are parking the baseball pennant races. We are separating ourselves from the news and notes around the NFL. Yes, we may pay attention to the NBA and the NHL, but front and center, this is really different. This is once every 4 years. This is once in a lifetime. We're talking about the World Cup. So we're going to talk soccer. We're going to talk a lot of things today. We apologize we could not join you on Thursday. We continue our renovations of our studios. That's why we rescheduled it today. Boy, have we got a lot of topics on the table. And that being said, we do sports talk the way it should be done on this podcast. We put topics on the table. We express opinions. Mine are valid. Sometimes his are from left field. And then when we're done, we open it up and we let you hit us with your opinions. It's called Fans Forum. Have a take, don't suck. John, how does Fans Forum work? For all the people that are watching us on live stream, those that are sampling the podcast, how do they interact? How do they become a co-host?
Take a shot on Hacksaw. This is your chance. Go into the live chat on YouTube, Facebook, or X. We'll get you involved in Fans Forum at the conclusion of Hacksaw's Headlines.
A reminder, I write about sports every day of the week on my website. That's the address, LeeHacksawHamilton.com. The best 15 minutes in sports. My one man's opinion columns every day. And because we renovated our website, we now give you access to all the videos that we put up on the YouTube channel simultaneously. That's all on the website. So if you've never sampled it, I want you to sample it. In addition, we provide all of you who follow us with 2 sports newsletters a day. We want you to sign up, become part of Hacksaw's Insiders Group. And you can do that right on the homepage of the website. Just get on the email list. You'll get a morning sports report, and then you'll get a column, 2 newsletters a day, absolutely free. Want you to share. Tell everybody what we do Mondays and Thursdays at 1:30. Subscribe. When you subscribe, every time either John or I put additional videos up on the YouTube channel, you will get an alert. You can help us grow this thing a great deal. Give us a thumbs up. Give us a follow hit. Give us a 5-star rating on Apple. Helps us grow this podcast a great deal. John, I'm ready. Corner kick me a topic. Let's start with the World Cup.
Yeah, start with the World Cup. Let's talk sports. Enough of this preliminary stuff. Let's get right into it, Lee. Here we go with the World Cup. USA-Paraguay, a beautiful game.
Yeah, coming up within hours, Team USA makes its debut. It is the beautiful game. USA versus Paraguay. This is the linkage of Mauricio Pochettino, that coach from Argentina, and the homebred American star, Christian Pulisic. Captain America is going to have his time. The big question, has he arrived? There's no doubt that Team USA has a very unique style that Pochettino has put in place. They are going to push the ball. They're going to move fast with a brilliant passing game. They've got firepower like historically they've never had before. Their style is really good, and I'm going to be intrigued to see how these players play with what Pochettino wants. Now, they were 15-10-1 with the mixed bag roster that Team USA had through all the friendlies after Pochettino became head coach. He had 73 players that he looked at. He settled on 26. And there's a lot of young firepower here. It's just not Pulisic against the world. It's Fo Balogun. It's Sergino Dest. It's Weston McKennie. It's Pepe. It's Alex Zendejas. It's Haji Wright. It's Gina Rayo. It's the veteran Tim Weah. It's obviously a healthy Christian Richards. It's a fast-developing Serge Borhalter. Only burning question I have, do they have the right guy in goal? Is it going to be Matt Turner, who's got MLS experience, or is it going to be the other goaltender, Matt Freese, who does not have a lot of international experience? That remains to be seen. This is a really good side, and the difference in this roster this hour, they had 17 players on this roster, John, who played abroad, who developed their game internationally. You know, for example, this is Pulisic, who played at Chelsea, who played at AC Milan, who's played in Champions League's games, who's played against other great global players. And that practice time is intense. That learning curve is steep. And then they go play in the professional leagues in Europe, which is the highest level of competition there is in the globe, more than playing in the NCAA here, more than even playing at MLS here in the States. Now, all that being said, good-looking roster on paper, John. End of the day, has to get it done on the pitch tonight against Paraguay. And Paraguay is fierce. Paraguay is physical. Paraguay is intimidating. Paraguay is not afraid to take fouls. Guys are going to get knocked down. Guys are going to get kicked. How good is a set-piece game for Team USA out of the corner after fouls? What will the combat be like in front of the keeper? Going to be fascinating to see. Like I've said, and I've preached to soccer fans on this podcast, on paper, this is the most firepower I think Team USA has had ever for the World Cup. But that's on paper, has to be done on the pitch. John, corner kick me an opinion. Tell me what you think.
Hell yeah, here we go. We're finally starting the World Cup, man. And, you know, we missed it 4 years ago. It was such an embarrassment that we weren't there. But the World Cup in 2018, I just remember watching it with my children and some of their friends, and everyone kind of gets together to root for Team USA. It's a big watch party. So it's going to be fantastic. And I've seen a lot of these players, you know, in some of the prelim games. But remember, Pochettino wasn't playing some of the veterans. We got to see some of the young talent. Well, now it's for real. Now here we go. We're all going to be wearing our red, white, and blue. You know, you get South America teams, you know, I don't know how Paraguay compares to Brazil or Argentina, but it's not going to be a walk in the park, you know. So this will be an interesting challenge, and we're gonna get right into it, Lee. It's going to be for real.
Yeah, 6 o'clock tonight. You're a soccer fan or just a sports fan who becomes a soccer fan this week. Jump on board Fans Forum. Give us some input. Do you agree with what we say about the makeup of this roster and that coach? Or are you concerned that we're not a global power? And despite the sales pitch of the kids developing, we're still not a global power. How far do you think these guys can go? Soccer fans, lead off, hit a penalty shot, join us. Fans Forum chat box is open. So that's item one about soccer. John, history lesson here. Go ahead.
Okay, yeah, we're going to talk some USA history. Let's go.
Let's talk about Team USA. Do you know that Team USA did not qualify for the World Cup from 1950 to 1990? That's a long drought. 1994, it looked as if they arrived. and of course, started to develop their own players. Landon Donovan, who went abroad, came back. ALEXI LALAS, the unique defender. Eric Winalda from here. Marcelo Balboa, who a lot of people have forgotten, ex-Aztec. Kobe Jones, who grew on the job after coming from Germany. That was the 1994 side that was good. They just did not have a lot of players on that 26-man roster. That roster was made up of only 8 guys who had ever sampled international soccer, as compared to the 17 who have played in Europe this year for Team USA. There's no doubt about the fact that the style played in Europe is fast and very physical. The style played in South America is unbelievably athletic and has become a speed game. So the burning question is going to be, can Team USA hold up against what Paraguay is going to do? And it was a very interesting comment made at the press conference this week. Question asked to one of the Team USA players, are you prepared for the dark act? And you say, what is that? Well, Paraguay's dark act, cheap shots, heavy hits, willing to disrupt your flow and injure your player. We'll take yellow cards if we have to. Paraguay's intense. The physicality they play is definitely different than most teams out of South America. The tackles are violent. And they've got 2 goal scorers in Diego Gomez and Asensio. But of course, Team USA has a lot of firepower. Also, part of me says Team USA is playing tonight with house money. Nobody expects them to do very much globally because they've really done nothing globally per se, dating back to the World Cup. But tonight is a report card as to how far the U.S. soccer program has grown with a compilation of all these really good young players. Now, Team USA still has to get rid of the American stigma. What's that? The American stigma is you haven't done anything globally. Until you start to pack win upon win against some name sides, there's still an American stigma that is out there. So, John, I think they've arrived. We'll have to pay attention to the dark act that Paraguay will throw at Team USA, and then we'll have to see if Team USA can survive and walk beyond the American stigma. I told you I was ready to talk soccer. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's just the way you're describing, Team USA is have they finally arrived? They haven't won squat. Sounds like the Padre talk that we've been having for years. So this is a great time. And to your point here with the history, I remember 1994, and that was the first time that I really paid attention to national soccer. And it was really fun getting to know these guys. ALEXI LALAS looked like a red-haired Jesus out there, and the team, I remember, advanced out of the group play and got into the brackets. They had to play, I think, Brazil in the first round, so that was a rough go. But ever since then, I've been hooked on this team, and it's been fun to watch them. And that's why I'm just so darn disappointed from 4 years ago that USA wasn't even represented. Now they're finally here. Like you said, they seem like the Team USA program had been, plotting, to get to this World Cup when they were going to have that young group of talent around Pulisic, and the games were going to be here in the North America. If there's going to be a time for a magic moment, hey, I think this is it, right, Lee? What do you think of?
Magic moment on your own soil. That's the thing. That's I think the stepping off point. Okay. So that's USA history. Let's just talk about the World Cup as it relates to the stars coming out this weekend and what the fans are going to see. John, it's absolutely amazing. The litany of greatness everywhere in World Cup. World Cup superstars. Okay, before we start that, history lesson. Go back to page 1. World Cup started in 1930. Nobody knew who these players were. World Cup was not played for a total of 12 years, John, because of World War II and the damage in all the countries. Brazil has won the World Cup 5 different times. I went back last night and just did some research on historical footnotes to the World Cup. In 1950, we had what is here in the States, it was called the Miracle on Grass. Team USA won a World Cup game in 1950, beating England. Do you remember an NFL field goal kicker by the name of Chris Barr? His brother was Matt Barr. Well, their father was Walter Barr. Came out of Penn State, scored a goal. Team USA beat England in 1950, but then did nothing till 1990. By the way, in 1950 in that World Cup, Brazil played Uruguay in Rio. John, the attendance, 173,850 for that one soccer game, the championship game in 1950. In 1958, you all remember Pele. Pele was age 17 in 1958, and he scored 2 goals against Switzerland in a game in 1958 as a 17-year-old. In 1986, Argentina was in the finals, and we had the greatest, most controversial play of all time in World Cup soccer. The hand of God goal. Diego Maradona in the box deflects a ball that goes into the net, and the video replay showed it glanced off his hand, or his hand just happened to hit the ball and it wound up in the back of the net. It became the hand of God goal. In 2006, France played Italy. Zinedine Zidane, captain, French side, very physical game, headbutted a player from Italy, got ejected, stunning end to his career. And then, of course, we had some lopsided games along the way. Germany beat Brazil in 2004, 7-1. 7-1. Brazil. Absolutely amazing. So, John, that's World Cup history for something unique for Team USA, and then obviously some of the other events, including the hand of God goal. Go ahead.
Well, your comment about the World Cup final in Brazil, 177,000 people. I didn't realize there was a stadium that could hold that many.
Well, when you allow everybody to stand on the sidelines, everybody had tickets. Just absolutely amazing. Okay, so we fast forward to the superstars that we're seeing right now, this weekend and the next month. Look at this cavalcade of greatness. Obviously, this is the final World Cup for Messi of Argentina. When last seen, holding up the trophy. Cristiano Ronaldo, Portugal, will try to get that trophy. This is probably his final World Cup. The last guy who won the award as the greatest individual, MBAPPE of France, he's fought through injuries, green light go. He was a leading scorer in the last World Cup. The leading scorer globally in soccer is Erling Haaland of Norway. Now, he had 32 goals this season. He's got 130 goals in the English Premier League over the last 4 years. As a one-man team, will Norway go far? There's always youngsters and stars that show up. Yamal from Spain at age 19 is the next great star on the horizon. The great veteran out of England is Harry Kane. Keep an eye on him. Brazil superstar Neymar, he's had nothing but injury problems. He's going to try to play with a knee issue. We saw Raul Jimenez last night from Mexico, who plays in the English Premier League, scored 1 goal, was robbed on another, and another bright young star from Team Netherlands, which has got a great soccer history, DEPAY. Keep an eye on him. John, that's a lot of superstars that we're going to get to see on your TV over the next 4 weeks.
Yeah, right on. I mean, like a lot of these names, we know them here in America, because United States fans are paying more attention to soccer. But yeah, Messi, Ronaldo, Mbappe, Haaland, I mean, Kane, Neymar. We've been talking about all of them in this podcast for the last few years. But even there's some names here I don't recognize, like DEPAY and Yamal. And so I'm looking forward to learning more about who these superstars are, around the world and kind of being part of the global conversation of soccer.
We go to the last topic here on soccer. This involves everything off the pitch, and we have to talk about that. Should I pull out of my pocket a red card? Red card to Infantino, the president of FIFA. Red card to your president for all the junk that has happened there. Let's talk about where we're going. The key phrase that's been used to describe what FIFA has brought to the United States is utter betrayal, John. That's what the fans globally are saying, that FIFA introduced one set of ticket prices, sold those tickets, and then changed the seating locations, put another set of tickets available at much, much higher prices. They call it dynamic pricing. Yesterday, Gianni Infantino, the president, was asked, why would you do that? How could you do that? What makes you think doing this is right? And he said, it's in the United States. They do dynamic pricing all the time. And if we sell it out, that means the market's willing to accept it. And if we don't, well, then they walk home. They don't lose any money because they're getting, get this, John, they get 99% of the revenue at every venue that a World Cup game is played in the U.S., Canada, and in Mexico. And the bulk of the expenses go to the cities that are hosting games that are probably going to have a lot of red ink. And this pricing issue, the get-in price for opening games, $8,600 tickets. Initially, those tickets were on sale for about $2,000 for the best seats, and they ramped it up, changed the seating locations, $8,600. And for the championship game at the Meadowlands, John, the prices that were $12,000 are now $32,970 to get the best seat in the house at the Meadowlands. They have, as of last night, John, 180,000 unsold tickets. That's 180,000 empty seats. I'm going to want to see what the empty seat number is tonight at SoFi Stadium in LA for the Team USA game against Portugal. And we've been obviously overwhelmed with the crisis here in the United States, the situation involving Team Iran and how it's been treated, the rude, crude statements by your president about Team Iran that they're welcome, but we're not going to protect them. Team Iran moved its training facility from Arizona into Mexico. You got the blockage of the admissions, the stoppage of fans from 39 different countries that Trump says have terrorists not letting them in, the threat of ICE security agents showing up at some of these venues, possibly tonight in Los Angeles, the ban on global media, the ban on one of the top-rated officials from entering the country, the intimidation of the different cities by Trump. We won't give you the federal money for the security that you need. And will there be incidents? Will there be protests? On the pitch, these games are going to be fabulous. Off the pitch, everything that Infantino has done and what Trump has said and threatened just cast a terrible shadow over what could be a great 6 weeks of soccer. Instead, red cards to those two guys. That's one man's opinion. I'm entitled to mine. What's yours?
Oh, geez, Lee, you just got to give it a break. For you, it's always a money grab. These guys are greedy a-holes, trying to charge thousands of dollars for these tickets. And then on the other hand, you're saying the cities are going to be in red ink, not being able to pay for the facilities. I mean, come on, pick a side. I mean, if you're going to want to have to fund these facilities, you got to generate revenue. Now, is FIFA a little greasy here, kind of maybe lining pockets? Yeah, that's a fair point. That's a fair point. But I'm not really down so much on the ticket prices. And yeah, dynamic pricing is a thing in America, not just for baseball, NFL, NBA games, but for friggin' Taylor Swift concerts and everything else. So this is capitalism, the land of supply and demand. And I think that's fine. That doesn't mean that anyone's entitled to have, the opportunity to go to a World Cup game for just $10. It's a money-making operation. The rest of the world will watch it on TV. So I don't know. I just see the FIFA president hold that gold trophy, and I just thinking how, he went up to the White House and, kiss butt there with Trump and, make this whole thing work. But all the Trump nonsense, calling out the immigration and the ICE checks and the foreign, referee can't get in, a team Iran, all of that is calculated political strategy, as sad as that sounds, and it's awful. So I hope Trump is just a non-issue in this thing, but let's just make sure that at least on this national stage that America and the rest of North America doesn't embarrass itself.
I concur with you, but we now live in a divisive society in which confrontations have become the norm. I hope there's not confrontations outside stadiums in America just because of what those people have invited to happen by the way they have acted. So you don't subscribe to the theory, because globally, this has been the line from everybody, that this is all about utter betrayal of FIFA and Trump and what they've done to the fans who wanted to come here to see these events. Okay, we are at halftime. We have given you a wide variety of opinions on World Cup history, the arrival of Team USA, we think, and everything that's gone on off the pitch. Feel free to join us. The Fans Forum chat box is open. Express an opinion. We are at halftime. And on the out-of-town scoreboard, John, they are in injury time. Canada has come back and has tied Bosnia-Herzegovina 1-1 with minutes to go in a game in which Canada has totally dominated. And Canada, I don't think, has ever won a World Cup game. But for them to get a 1-1 tie against the former country that's known as Yugoslavia, thumbs up to old Canada. They're going crazy on the old Canada network. So that's where we are. And it has just gone final. Team Canada winds up in a 1-1 tie with Bosnia-Herzegovina. We get to a break. When we come back, we're going to talk Padre baseball because we are baseball-centric, and we are talking NBA, and we're talking NHL, news and notes around the NFL, and the latest problems on the Pro Golf Tour. So stay with us for the second half. Podcast brought to you by DIXIELINE Lumber and Home Centers, 8 locations to serve you in San Diego. Windows, doors, tools, you name it, they got it. John, talk to the videos that we're showing everybody on our live stream right now.
Yeah, this is an example of some of the custom home work that DIXIELINE does, along with local architects that are maybe not just building a single custom home, but maybe a cul-de-sac of 4 or 5 homes. DIXIELINE's a perfect partner for that. They'll get you the lumber you need. It'll be delivered on site, on time, within budget. Great for the builder or the contractor that needs lumber, building materials, tools, hardware. DIXIELINE Lumber, like you say, Lee, 8 locations to serve you. They're the contractor's best friend. And, oh, by the way, they provide great things like doors and windows for homeowners.
And by the way, if you're a do-it-yourselfer, how about the tools section? Just go to DIXIELINE.com to see all the things they have to offer. We are at halftime, a special Friday podcast. Just a reminder, when we're done, you get the chance to take over. We call it Fans Forum. We invite you to express opinions on the different hot bullet point topics that we're going to put on the table. Because why? Because we do sports talk the way it should be done. Topics, opinions. Mine are valid. His sometimes are from left field, but we're entitled to ours. But we want to hear yours. John, for everybody that's new to the live stream, how do they jump on board?
Yeah, corner kick me a comment or an opinion. Hey, drop your comment in the live chat on YouTube, Facebook, or X. We'll get you involved in Fans Forum.
You're awful lucky. If I was doing sports talk radio, you'd be going crazy on the 405 and gridlock, listening to all the stuff I have to say. So join us, Fans Forum. And when we're done, we want you to join us. By the way, check my website. I write on it every day of the week. You like the website? Give us a thumbs up. Tell us what you think. Just go to Lee Hacksaw Hamilton. Best 15 minutes in sports, my one man's opinion column, and all the videos we put up on the YouTube channel, we now have added to our website. So check out everything we're doing on that website, LeeHacksawHamilton.com. Help us grow this project. Give us a thumbs up. Hit the follow button. And if you want, give us a 5-star rating if you're following us on Apple. So, John, I'm ready for the second half because now we're talking about other things in addition to the World Cup, and we're baseball-centric. Damn, do we know what we're talking about in baseball because the numbers of followers who are baseball fanatics back that up. Go ahead.
Yeah, Padres going on a road trip, man. This is critical, Lee. I mean, the Padres have got to get their act together.
All right, here's the bullet point headline. Is it a save-the-season road trip as the Padres go into Baltimore tonight? The bigger question, and you can jump into the fans forum chat box right now, do you still have faith in the Friars? Look at these batting averages. Fernando Tatis is on a heater. Last 3 weeks, he's hitting .397, and he's hit 2 home runs this week. How about Samad Taylor? This is a very unique athlete, a, quote, minor leaguer, a journeyman who didn't show much in Seattle, showed even less in Kansas City. Taylor's hitting .333 as a utility man for the Padres to the point now, I think he might be their starting left fielder as long as he continues to produce. Meanwhile, Manny Machado equals a lost soul. His batting average for the year is .168. That's unbelievable. His batting average since April 28th, John, is .132. His batting average with runners in scoring position is under .170. And he has no answers at all. And although the coaches and the manager and the general manager are all supportive of him, he's lost his bat speed and he's chasing stuff outside the strike zone. He looks like a lost soul. Jackson Merrill, he's hitting .201. And we thought last year was a disappointment because of the injuries. Now there's even more regression. He's hitting .201. And Gavin Sheets, aside from the occasional long-distance home run, is in an .083 slump. So the Padres are dragging a lot of bad statistics with them as they go to Camden Yards to meet the Orioles. And John, look at that schedule. The Padres' 9-game road trip. Come home, they play 6 against the hottest team in baseball, the Braves, and then the Dodgers back-to-back. And then they go back on the road for 7 more. John, they play 16 of their next 22 away from home. This, to me, is a team that's got all kinds of problems. And by the way, I don't know if you caught the Flashpoint video of Craig Stammen getting into it with a fan behind the dugout after the game. Fan was barking, was not using the King's best language at Machado. And Stammen kind of came to the defense. Now, he didn't get into an argument with the fan. He just told the fan he thought it was rather unprofessional that the fan was not using the King's best English while addressing Machado. But at the end of the day, I think the pressure of how erratic this team is starting to get to Craig Stammen a little bit too. So this is a Padres team that's got all kinds of issues. And we're not even mentioned this week the Padres pitching situation. You got Griff Canning, who's got an ERA of well over 6. You got Giolito, who in 20 innings, John, has given up 18 hits and walked 18 batters. You've got 2.5 starters. Randy Velasquez has had 4 bad starts in a row and has given up home run balls. This is not a complete baseball team. And now you got 16 of 22 on the road. What do you think?
All I know is that the guy that was chirping at Stammen is a disciple of the Divine Sports Gospel. You know, that guy, those 2 brothers that are always posting Padre talk online. So I like that the fans are getting in their face. And, Stammen, protects his guys. And, I get that. But the thing here with the Padres is that we're finally getting some understanding of what's going on with Machado. Because he's going to this new batting coach. I guess it was connected with Aaron Judge. And supposedly the theory is to let that ball travel deeper in the zone and then explode through it. But, And the story is that Machado's bat speed is actually, the bat speed isn't that bad. That's not the problem. He's just too late, because he's been in the offseason. He was waiting for that ball to go deeper and deeper in the zone. Now when he pulls the trigger, he's not able to pull it quick enough. And I think that explains this. And now he's got to fix this while, he's got to be like a plane. You got to be building it and flying at the same time. He's got to fix this thing while he's batting third or fourth every night. So, to your point, Lee, I mean, you look at that schedule and you're like, there's no way. I mean, they're going to be on the road. They're going to come back and play the Dodgers and the Braves. I mean, this could get fugly in a very short amount of time.
I concur. You're a Padre fan. Do you have any faith in the Friars going forward, or is this the beginning of the end? They are 8 games out of first place right now, 16 of 22 on the road, and in the middle of this 22-game haul, they play red-hot Atlanta, and then they play the first-place Dodgers back-to-back. Wow. They got themselves, I think, a real challenge ahead of them. From that, let's peek inside the Dodger and Angel notebook, John.
Yeah, we got some highlights here.
Let's talk about the Dodgers. A little bit of a scare. Now, they'll try to downplay it. Shohei Ohtani came out of the lineup in Pittsburgh with pain in the back of his knee. They located it. It's the back of the knee by the hamstring. They don't think it's major. Ohtani has been a wild bull on the base paths. I mean, he was unbelievably fast, gifted, extra bases, stolen bases. So he may have tweaked something, fatigued his right leg. He's got a problem. They say he's going to be in the lineup in Chicago against the White Sox. They don't think it's going to impact his pitching. Maybe it'll slow him down on the base paths. Meanwhile, everybody is going to watch the Detroit Tigers game on Saturday because Tarek Skubal is going to make his first start coming off the bone chip surgery. The Dodgers reportedly going to have scouts in the stands to observe Skubal, because Skubal's name continues to be out front as a possible trade candidate. Meanwhile, the Angels, it just gets worse and worse. Yes, they've won a few games. Angels are going to play red-hot Tampa Bay beginning tonight at the Big A. Now they've lost another starting pitcher, Jack Kachanowicz, gone for 18 months, John. This 6'7" right-hander got good velocity, started very well. Last 5 to 6 starts, his ERA was almost 11. Bad elbow, surgery coming, 18 months of rehab. Angels, who last week released ex-Met and Philly National League pitcher Taijuan Walker, just re-signed him today. And he was at Salt Lake City, and he was not doing very much. Thumbs up, though. How about the story about Trey Mancini? Fought his way back onto the Major League roster after starting the season on a minor league contract, gets a couple of RBIs, gets a couple of hits. Got to root for him. This guy's fought back from cancer surgery. And he was, once upon a time, pretty productive player for the Orioles, went to Houston, got hurt, then had cancer, had surgery. It's taken him forever to get back. So far, so good. Trey Mancini in an Angel uniform. John, what do you think about the Ohtani storyline?
Well, I want to know this, Lee, about the Dodgers. I read like a headline that the Dodgers team doctor was being investigated for giving steroids to a different athlete, not in the Dodgers team. And what's going down with that?
Well, you're talking about Dr. Neil L. Otrache out of Los Angeles. He's got a very successful career. He operated on UFC boxer Conor McGregor for 2 broken bones in his leg about 4 years ago. And the rehab and the therapy was not going well. He recommended McGregor go see another physician. That physician prescribed what is viewed as illegal PEDs. So the headline was really unfair to El Atrache. Major League Baseball has already interviewed him. The Dodgers have talked to him. All he did was recommend, go see this next doctor in the chain of command and see what he does in terms of therapy from this type of surgery. He had nothing to do with the prescriptions of illegal PEDs. It was just the contact with another consulting doctor. Now we find out that doctor specializes in use of PEDs in bone recovery. So El-Atrashi, I think, has been painted really unfairly. He's already met with Major League Baseball. Baseball's not taking any action against him. So that was a flash headline, but I don't think it was very fair to him. And he's got a very good track record in terms of treatment of players.
The Dodgers, man, they're just so Teflon, nothing sticks. As much as you'd love to see a controversy with LA, they always come out squeaky clean.
What do you think about the Ohtani leg injury, hamstring injury at this point?
Yeah, that's pretty serious. I mean, because if you lose him, you're losing two players, and he's been so good pitching this year. So, yeah, let's keep an eye on this. But, it's like the Dodgers, they still have, Blake Snell kind of hanging around. They got a lot of other talent. If Ohtani were to maybe miss a few weeks, no big deal. It's like a little vacation in June, maybe.
Well, they may have to tone his act down running the bases, because I think that's what is the genesis of this injury problem. Dodger fans, Angel fans, feel free to join us. Your fans forum chat box is open. Let's talk NBA basketball. Let's talk about what we just saw at Madison Square Garden. How about that?
That's just unbelievable. I mean, everything about this series is nuts.
Yeah. Should I use the word historical, or should I just use the word hysterical? Historical because nobody's done what the Knicks did. Came from 29 points behind to beat San Antonio, and now can win the series and end it on Saturday night if they win on the Spurs floor. Think about this. San Antonio scored 76 in the first half. San Antonio scored 30-plus in the second half. San Antonio died on the floor in the second half. Knickerbockers came from 29 points back to win. In the fourth quarter, the deficit was still 20, and San Antonio could not stop the bleeding. End of the day, I'm going to pull a word out of the dictionary. The word of the day is immaturity. That's why San Antonio lost. Immaturity of the first-year head coach, Mitch Johnson. Immaturity of the greatness of Wembanyama. Immaturity of the makeup of this roster. Why would you let this go on at Madison Square Garden in the second half? Not use your timeouts. Why would you not run plays, eat up the clock, run plays, get baskets or fouls and free throws instead of launching threes? John, they were 2 for 10 in the third quarter. They just kept coming down the floor, even threes that did not sink. And they were 2 for 13 in the fourth quarter, trying to stop the bleeding. Why would you not just run plays, run the clock, get Wembanyama down on the post and try to go that? And by the way, speaking of Wemby, I know he plays with great passion, but this whole thing of taunting and this whole thing with flagrant elbows and all that, he's on the brink now of getting a one-game suspension if there's another flagrant foul. Why are you acting that way and inciting the New York Knicks and then the crowd? But I think this loss is on the immaturity of Mitch Johnson not to control the pace of the game when they had the big lead and it was starting to erode, and on the immaturity of those guys on the floor just to come down and launch threes. They'll let the Knickerbockers back in the game. Feel free to join us. There's no doubt that Brunson is a warrior. Anunoby turns out to be maybe one of the best free agent acquisitions. They got him from Toronto. Boy, has he played really well. But at the end of the day, the Knickerbockers were about to get blown out. It would have been a 2-2 series going back to San Antonio. Instead, they win it. And I'll tell you, there's no doubt they're Times Square tough, that they just beat you up, and they play with unbelievable pressure and pride. And I'm not even going to comment about Spike Lee or Travis Kelce's wife. I mean, the entourage of fans paying $8,000 to sit at the courtside seats, that's worth watching unto itself in addition to the game. So, John, you tell me, history, immaturity, is that a key word there?
Yeah, it is. I mean, that was a total choke job by the Spurs. I mean, as great of a storyline this is for the Knicks, I mean, that was disgraceful how they let that happen. And even Charles Barkley said they were just stupid. It was just a really dumb thing. I mean, like De'Aaron Fox, right near the end of the game, he's shooting the ball. Like, what are you doing? It's like, back it up, run the clock. I mean, this is when in the final seconds of the game. So they just lost it. It was a tough loss for them. They choked. But to me, the fun of this whole thing is all of the hysteria about Knicks fans and the celebrities, and whether it's Jerry Seinfeld and Larry David are out there on front row, and I love it. And the memes have been fantastic. Like the one where Seinfeld was saying, anyone can take a lead, like the Spurs, but it takes someone special to hold the lead, and the Spurs couldn't hold the lead, and so all these Seinfeldisms are like popping into this whole conversation. So I love all of that. I love the history of the Knicks, and give me more of this fun stuff. And by the way, the games have been great. The games have been fun. I want to see this thing go 7. I mean, Game 5 is going to be in Texas, right? And so hopefully the Spurs kind of figure it out. But it could be over by Game 6.
Well, it has the potential to go 7. I concur with you, but how does San Antonio win 3 in a row against this Knicks team? Now, by the way, what the Knicks did, this whole right hand of God thing with Anunoby's tipping and coming back, the historic comeback, this has got to be as equal in terms of the greatness of Knicks history as Willis Reed running up and down the floor, dragging one leg behind. Just amazing.
For sure.
Okay, you're a basketball fan. Feel free. Jump on board. Let's talk about San Antonio, the Knicks. Do you subscribe? I'm using the word immaturity. The San Antonio learned something for what they allowed to happen in front of them when they had a 29-point lead. We go from that. Let's talk football. Oh, let's talk college football. My goodness gracious. Let's talk about the gunfire in the state of Texas, John.
Yeah, look at this kid. I mean, the best 15, you've been giving really good updates on this storyline.
Let's talk about the Brendan Sorsby situation. A judge in Texas superseded the NCAA by allowing Brendan Sorsby to have his eligibility back. At the end of the day, the judge agreed with the attorneys for the Texas Tech quarterback that his mental health issues supersede the NCAA bylaws. Say what? Just absolutely stunning. And the outrage and the pouring of anger by everybody in college athletics directed at Texas Tech is beyond anything I've ever seen before. This story is not over yet. There's a lot of other components now that are going to happen. The Big 12 Conference held 3 sets of meetings this week. One with the athletic directors, the second one with the presidents, the third one with the chancellors, as to what the Big 12 response is to being ordered to give this kid his final year of eligibility despite the gambling addiction. Texas Tech held 3 press conferences this week, including a roundtable press conference with all of us administrators, in which they defended the action. They said, however, they did not finance Brendan Sorsby's appeal to the NCAA, the hiring of the super attorney, Jeffrey Kessler, or the antitrust lawsuit that is now going to be held against the NCAA, that their only concern was the mental health and the programs they could establish on that football campus to help Sorsby with his gambling addiction and his anxiety attacks. I understand the need to help one of your own. That's fine. Let him be a student. Let him go to class. Let him mandate he has to take part in all this anti-gambling counseling. He can't play football. He violated the NCAA bylaws by betting 9,000 times in 4 years on college and pro athletic events against the NCAA bylaws. Now, the burning question is, what is the Big 12 going to do? The Big 12, are they going to go to the Texas State Court of Appeals, which is the next level up, except that the 3 judges on that panel, John, are Texas Tech alums? They going to get a fair shake on that? Is the Big 12 going to expel Texas Tech from the conference? Is the Big 12 going to stand by what the last judge said, let him play, and the minute he plays in a game, forfeit every Texas Tech game that he plays because he violated the Big 12 and the NCAA bylaws by gambling? So we have not heard the end to this mudball fight between these two sides. And the response nationwide, John, has beyond belief. The Big Ten and the SEC have held meetings, and they are discussing having each of their schools that has a contract to play Texas Tech in football or basketball void the contract. That's stunning. So that's where we are right now. We've not heard the end of this. At the end of the day, Texas Tech is kind of hiding behind the mental health issue. They're saying him being a teammate is good for his mental health. What about the rules? What about the bylaws? You agreed when you joined the NCAA, when you joined the Big 12, to abide by their bylaws, and now you're saying, except in the Brendan Sorsby case. And one of the columnists wrote this week in Lubbock, who, by the way, is against Texas Tech, might be the only one in Lubbock. He wrote, Pete Rose bet on baseball was banned for life. Brendan Sorsby bet on football, and he's going to be able to play in the Big 12? Wow. So, John, that's where we are. Like I said, we've not heard the end of the story, but this is deep and this is dark and this is going to get really dirty.
Lee, don't you understand that Sorsby is the victim here? You know, and he needs to get help. I mean, he has to get mental health counseling, and Texas Tech, you know, they're not in it for a quarterback. I mean, they're just taking a kid in that needs a fourth or a fifth chance here, and they're going to take on the burden since no other university wanted the kid, and Texas Tech is being the good Samaritan, right? Everybody is selfless here, Lee. So that's why it's all a con game. This whole thing is a con game, the way they're positioning all of this. I'm happy that Nebraska and Georgia are like stepping up and saying, don't schedule those guys. This is why the NCAA needs the antitrust exemption so they can police their own. You know, this is ridiculous that all of these things have to keep coming to judges when, you know, in any other sport, the commissioners or the board of directors, or they're the ones that make the final decision.
At the end of the day, if Texas Tech loses its football schedule and Brendan Sorsby is allowed to play, but everybody cancels their contracts, do you realistically think Texas Tech can get to the college football playoffs? Because that's what this is all about. That quarterback who's thrown 82 touchdown passes. Do you think by playing Eastern Kentucky, Portland State, and Alabama Birmingham, that Texas Tech would get to the college football playoffs at 12-0? Come on now. But that's what this is all about.
Yeah. There's a lot of oil money behind that team.
Oh, unbelievable. So you tell me, college football fans forum chat box is open, jump on board. How seedy, how slimy, how grimy is this whole Texas Tech story? And yet the people in West Texas, in Amarillo and Lubbock, no problem. He's one of our own guys. Fans forum chat box is open for business. Speaking of bad, let's go to the NFL notebook. This is bad.
Yeah, showdown for the 49er faithful.
We got two storylines here with the San Francisco 49ers in the notebook right now. This firestorm of controversy won't end. We're talking about Brandon Ayuk, the wide receiver, the one that's gone off center, the one that suffered the bad knee injury a year and a half ago, the one that stopped going to rehab, stopped talking to the team doctors, stopped coming to team meetings, the one that totally disappeared, not communicating with anybody, violated his contract, lost $25 million in guaranteed bonuses because he was not part of the team, his decision to not be part of the team. Now, Brandon Ayuk was off on social media in the last week and does three different things. One, he tapes a video of him driving over 100 miles an hour, racing around Levi Stadium in Santa Clara, 49ers home stadium, as if that's what I do in my off time. Then he goes back-to-back nights on social media, and he rips John Lynch, the general manager of the 49ers. And he just sounds off that John Lynch is scared to release me because I'm going to wind up with another team and I'm going to come back and hurt you and haunt you. And the following night, he calls John Lynch and the 49ers dumb. You people gave me $50 million 8 months ago and I hardly played at all. And now you're going to take a big salary cap hit and you're going to get rid of me. You're dumb for doing what you did. I asked an NFL executive this week his perception from outside the circle. He, like me, believes there's something wrong with Ayuk right now. He also believes that Brendan Ayuk has become Antonio Brown. You remember that? Steeler wide receiver who had so many good years and then just went off tangent and then refused to be part of the Steelers and then got traded, got released, bounced all over the league and is out of the league and bankrupt. The general consensus is Ayuk has become Antonio Brown and he's untradeable and he's toxic and there's something wrong with the guy. And he is not going to have a place to play in the NFL because nobody wants to be involved with a player that's doing the kind of stuff that Ayuk is doing. So that's one item. The other item is really weird, and I don't know where this is coming from, but the 49ers, John, have talked to the Raiders about a deal for Max Crosby. And the report is that San Francisco would trade last year's number 1 to young defensive end Michael Williams and a first-round pick to get Crosby. And that doesn't make sense to me because Crosby's come back to the Raiders. He's doing all the rehab he's supposed to be doing. They've patched up whatever differences appeared when they tried to trade him to Baltimore. That's water under the bridge. But I just saw a video of Max Crosby trying to run at the OTAs. John, he can't run. How's he going to play football in training camp in a couple of weeks? This recovery from this significant meniscus surgery and whatever the cartilage damage and the deterioration of the knee, that's what the independent doctor in Dallas said that killed the deal to Baltimore. To me, it looks really significant. So why would San Francisco even be entertaining any conversation about the potential of that type of trade? So, John, you got a toxic wide receiver, one of many that's been in San Francisco, and you got this Max Crosby story. What do you say?
It's weird. This story is bizarre. First of all, the Niners definitely should just let go of Ayuk. I mean, the dude it's like his moral compass is off center, in terms of, the values he was raised with, or maybe to your point, there's something going on, maybe too many shots to the head, some CTE going that's kind of affecting his mental ability. Dude needs help. I mean, you don't treat your employer by calling him dumb and mocking them for signing you. I mean, it's awful. And so Niners need to cut bait. And it's interesting talking about Max Crosby coming to the Niners. I'm just thinking back in time. Usually the history is that players that used to be on the Niners would go to the Raiders rather than the other direction. Because I'm thinking of Plunkett. Well, I think that was a trade. But then, free agents, Ronnie Lott, Jerry Rice. So every once in a while, you'll see a little cross-mingling of these two Bay Area teams. That's interesting to me. Max Crosby, though, everything about him in the offseason has just been kind of all over the map, hasn't it, Lee?
Yeah, it is. And he said a lot of positive things about coming back. But, the bigger issue is I watched video of him this week. He can't run. He's dragging his leg. When's he going to play football? How's he going to play football? Wow. So I think the knee deterioration has been coming for a while. And at this point, to me, he doesn't look right at all. It would not shock me to find out when training camps open in a couple of weeks that he goes on the PUP list, because I don't think he's done everything he can rehab-wise. He's just not ready physically. But why would the 49ers even entertain trade conversations for somebody that's physically not ready to play football? And then why would the Raiders move the guy after bringing him back and patching up everything that had happened? So you're an NFL fan. What's your reaction to Ayuk? Boy, this is a mess. This is a real mess in San Francisco. We go from that. Let's talk a little NHL hockey. Hockey Notebook open for business, John.
Yeah, a lot of coaches moving around.
This really surprised me. LA Kings signed Peter Laviolette, 3-year contract. He is the new head coach of the LA Kings. It surprises me because even though he's got a good history of coaching teams and having instant success, there's a lot of history about wearing out his welcome and the fact he's been fired from 6 different jobs over the course of his career. His team wins right out of the gate because he's going to stress offense, but the team winds up losing, and he loses his players mentally. I mean, you go back and ask the people in New York, you ask the people in Washington. It's just a really strange set of circumstances that he's the guy that they wound up settling on. You know, the Kings, I thought the Kings are going to make a run at Chris Knobloch, the ex-Oiler coach, who's kind of an intellect. I thought they're going to make a run at David Carl, Denver University, who's I think he's got a track record of unbelievable success, but doesn't want to leave the college ranks. So that's a bit of a surprise hire. In Edmonton, I don't understand this either. They want to interview and are considering hiring Mike Babcock. Mike Babcock had success with the Ducks in the 2 years he was in Anaheim, went to Detroit for 10 years, did okay but got fired, went to Columbus, self-destructed, was in Toronto, created enemies, and you're hiring him in Edmonton? Now, my contacts up there say that the leadership of the Oilers, Stan Bowman's the general manager, and I think he ought to be held responsible for what's happened to this team around Connor McDavid and Draisaitl, that Bowman wants somebody who's going to taskmaster, is going to mold this team. Well, there's no doubt that Babcock's a tough guy, and he really leans on his players. But some of the junk that he did in Colorado and other places with his players, that bully is the word that was given to me. I don't know that I'd want this guy. And he's been out of the NHL for 7 years because of an incident in Columbus where he invaded players' private lives. So this is a weird hire to me. Third one, Boston Bruins. This is cool. Everybody comes from somewhere. Boston Bruins, rebuilding young team. Just hired San Diego Gulls head coach Matt McIlvaine. McIlvaine had been here 3 years, did a really good job elevating Gulls hockey with a lot of young players. Had just signed a 3-year extension a couple weeks ago to stay here. The Boston job just opened up. Boston called the Ducks and said, we want to talk to McIlvaine. Ducks called Matt McIlvaine here in San Diego, coach of the Gulls, and said, are you interested? He said, I'd like the opportunity. He interviewed, hired immediately. Now, that's a good guy, worked really hard, did a good job. And I happen to think San Diego is a great minor league hockey market. You start drawing 10, 11, and 12,000 fans per game. That's amazing. He did a really nice job here. Hey, credit to him. Good luck to a good guy. And then we got the Stanley Cup playoffs. This has been pretty damn interesting. Vegas, Carolina, who's hot, who's not, who's hot in goal, who's getting pulled in goal. This has been a phenomenal series. And now we're sitting here with Carolina leading 3-2, going back to Vegas for Game 6. And if there's a Game 7, it's going to be back in Raleigh. And those people on Tobacco Road, they are drunk with hockey. Holy cow. Is that such a cool place? John, that's what's inside my notebook in hockey.
Yeah, the McIlvaine story is pretty cool. You know, I mean, he seems like a great guy, got an opportunity, he's moving up. And you were saying he had originally, took a job with the Ducks, but then, he wanted to have an opportunity to move to Boston. So good on him. But the question I want to get to you is this, Lee. I look at these logos, and it's interesting looking at hockey logos. That Oilers logo is sweet, and their whole uniform setup with the blue and the orange and the white. You see, Draisaitl out there, and it's a great look. But you know what? The Houston Oilers also had a great logo with the oil derrick. They had those powder blues. I remember Billy White Shoes Johnson and Warren Moon. So if you had your pick, would you go with the Edmonton Oilers or the Houston Oilers for the best uniform?
Now you're asking somebody that broadcast hockey, grew up in hockey. So I picked the Oilers logo. But if I were king, I would get on the 405 in rush hour and go to Los Angeles and tell the Kings, bring back the crown
Yes.
Bring back the gold and the purple that was the original, the Marcel Dion jerseys. I love the color scheme. If I were king, that's what I would do. And by the way, speaking of jerseys, tell me, those Carolina Hurricane jerseys at home, the whites with the hurricane in the middle, or the hurricane flags and the black jersey, they're pretty sweet.
Right on. Yeah, I agree with you. It's cool when LA was wearing the purple and gold because, it matched the Lakers. But more importantly, purple is the color of royalty, right?
Yes.
And these are the Kings. So, yeah, bring it back. I mean, the silver and black is Raiders, The Kings needed their own look.
I agree. And by the way, hockey fan, the original 6, that's the Boston Bruins original 6 logo, and they still use it today. That's pretty cool. Hockey Hotline is open for business. You got an opinion on this coaching carousel in the NHL? What the Kings did? What Edmonton is trying to do? My O Canada Network line is open on the Fans Forum chat box. Jump on board. John, final topic on the table. Boy, this is bad. This story just broke last night. This is really bad.
Yeah, Lefty is in trouble again.
Phil Mickelson. Golf Digest breaking the story last night that Phil Mickelson has been barred from his home golf course here in Rancho Santa Fe outside San Diego. His membership has been revoked because of an alleged physical confrontation with a female employee. They did an investigation, confirmed what happened, went out on the course as he was shooting a practice round and escorted him off the course. They've taken down all the pictures and the memorabilia at the Farms golf course in Rancho Santa Fe, which was his home golf course. And I tried to put into words today, John, what's the set of words I could use to describe what's happened to Phil Mickelson? I always called him the fans man. I mean, he had a decade run that was unbelievable. The 6 Grand Slam events, 25 career wins. He was almost equal to the popularity of Tiger Woods. And the first words that came out of my brain, fall from grace. Have you ever seen anybody fall from grace as quickly as he has? I mean, just think about the situations that he's gotten himself involved in. Not just here at the Farms in Rancho Santa Fe, but just look at the other situation. The insider trading case, almost $1 million of money insider trading, and a $100,000 fine from the Securities Exchange Commission for insider trading. He had to give that money back or face prison time. And then the gambling addiction, his involvement with a known gambler in Las Vegas, and the gambler detailing the fact that Phil Mickelson had $1 billion in gambling losses because of his gambling addiction. And then obviously what he did as being the ringleader with LIV, being the first one to jump and take all that payday money, then insulting the Saudis by calling them MFers for killing that Washington Post journalist, losing all of his sponsors, and then getting suspended for life by the PGA Tour because he was the ringleader who got his payday and then turned around and tried to lure all these other guys to LIV. Have you ever seen anybody, well, maybe Tiger Woods by the same token for all the off-the-course things that he's done to his life? Ever seen anybody fall from grace as quickly as Phil Mickelson has, John? What a sad story we have to talk about, but we have to cover it. Yeah,
it is weird because we remember watching those two. It was always Tiger and Phil. And we were all sentimental when Phil finally got the green jacket. Yep. And he was definitely, to your point, the fans man. But, I mean, what an idiot, for just making these kinds of decisions. But I'll tell you what, there is one thing that Mickelson got a lot of heat on that I'm going to back him on. And, because there's a lot to criticize. I'm not saying this guy is coming out so like smelling like a rose, but do you remember it was like 5-6 years ago, he talked about, because he was living in Orange County at the time, and he talked about he was wanted to move to Florida because there's too much income tax in the state of California. And then he got a lot of heat, from, big time people in sports and in government, and he had to kind of bend the knee and say, oh, I'm sorry. I know that I need to pay my fair share in California. But I still think, didn't he end up moving to Florida?
Well, but he went back to Arizona. I mean, I think he lives in Scottsdale now. And he's been between here and Arizona a lot over the course of his career. But there's no doubt that there's issues here in his life. And there's some personal issues in terms of family illness, cancer, etc. I understand that. But his decision-making to do what he's done when he's held in such high esteem, and his decision-making of what's right versus wrong, and his addiction, wow. And he's fallen from grace. I mean, to me, John, it's shocking he's fallen from grace. And it's like he's a man without a country because LIV is about to die. Nobody here wants him back on the PGA Tour, and they probably would not let him back. And now all this other stuff off the course. What goes into decision-making by these people in terms of who they hang with, what they're doing, and why they're doing it?
Well, if he came back, he might be on some of the majors, but how old is he? He's got to be like qualified for the seniors tour, right?
Yeah, he's 55.
Yeah. So, I mean, this guy is just an idiot for making these decisions. So I don't know, just more drama, but it is weird how Tiger and Phil went from being the two angels to the two devils.
Tiger and Phil in the heyday from about 1997 to 2010, they were the modern day version of Arnie and Jack. How beloved those guys were on the pro tour, and how brilliant these guys were on the modern day tour in the early 2000s. And look what's happened to both of them. Wow. All right, you got an opinion on Phil Mickelson? Feel free, jump on board. We do sports talk the way it should be done. We have told you all the hot stories. We've expressed opinions. Now it's your turn. It's called the Fans Forum Chat Box. You pick a topic that we've just discussed. Want you to be specific. Jump in. Give us an opinion so we can respond to it. You're going to be co-host with us next now. This next segment is called the Fans Forum. The chat box is open for business. And this podcast brought to you by Dixieline Lumber and Home Centers. 8 locations to serve you. You got projects, they've got materials. You want ideas, they can help you out with consulting work. Go to Dixieline.com to see all the things they have to offer. Dixieline, been in business in San Diego for over 100 years. That's their calling card. Fix it, build it. You'll like it in the rest of 2026 at Dixieline Lumber. What are you laughing about? Go ahead, John. You going to invite these people on Fans Forum here?
It's like, get in the chat box, you know?
Damn it.
It's funny. It's funny. Yeah, damn it. It's just funny how you use a lot of old school terminology. Like a lot of times before we start the podcast, you'll text me and says, yeah, I'm dialing in right now. And it's fantastic. Okay, let's kick it off with our buddy Callan. He goes, afternoon, Jets. Go, USA. Bring on the World Cup. Let's effing go, USA.
I concur. Again, on paper, they look great. But it has to be done on the pitch. And I think the most intangible thing to me is how are they going to hold up to what the players call the dark act. Paraguay is physical. Paraguay's not afraid to take yellow cards. They're going to bang those forwards around. Now, can Team USA outrun them? Because the one thing to watch going into this game is how do they build out of the back end with the ball? How quick are their passes? How quickly do they get up the field, crossing passes, etc.? And who gets the look? Who gets the shot? So that's going to be really intriguing. But there's no doubt that there's great history on the side of Paraguay because this is who they are and the way they play. But I'm really amped just to see this growth of Team USA because I've been a Pulisic fan for a long time, and we've seen, John and I have talked about this on this podcast. We've seen Pulisic grow from an 18-year-old into a mature 25-year-old and play at the highest level of competition there is and do pretty decently. And now we've seen all these other young guys join them on this roster. It's their time to shine. Which one's going to be the hero? I'm Callum. I'm so fascinated by what's going to happen at 6:00 tonight. John, your turn.
It sounds like you're framing Paraguay as the dark side, you know? like the Darth Vader. What did you call it, that they go into a dark mode, or what was that?
The players call it the dark act.
The dark act.
Yeah, the fouls, the cheap shots, the late hits.
That they're leveling, right? They're bringing the cheap shots.
Yes.
So this is like the Oakland Raiders of long ago, the version for the World Cup. This is great. So as a fan in America, okay, we got Captain America, we got the good guys. Okay, maybe these guys take cheap shots. We're, just for tonight, we're going to be framing Paraguay as the bad guy, and let's hopefully the good guys win, and I think it's going to be terrific. If the USA can win the first game coming out of this, it's going to be awesome. I mean, do you think they are in a position where they can maybe win their group?
A lot of people have the opinion, yes, although what I've read is that their third game is against Turkey, and they say that Turkey is a really talented team. Now, they're not a global power up here with Argentina, Spain, France. They say Turkey is a very good side. So let's just take it one match at a time and see what they do in this first one. Callum, thanks for being with us. John, go ahead.
Okay, let's keep going. Let's go to our buddy John. Hey, it's baking in Baltimore, too. Going to be a hot one tonight for the Padres.
Heat and humidity virtually everywhere across the country, including in John's driveway at the castle. It's rugged. John, we should maybe do this podcast at 7:00 one night when it's cool and there's a breeze outside. But this is a big challenge, John. I'm going to spin back. Not only are we talking about a batting order, a team that is in last place in virtually every offensive metric in baseball, hitting .218 collectively. I think they've got a nightmare with his pitching staff. I mean, you got Michael King. Randy Vasquez has given ground in his last 4 starts. And he's given up home runs, too. That's the big issue. They're going to give the ball again to Griff Canning, and he can't go more than 4 or 5 innings, and there's a lot of walks. His ERA's over 6. And Giolito, I just quoted that stat. He's pitched 20 innings, has given up 18 hits, 18 walks. That's 36 base runners in 20 innings, John. I mean, to me, their rotation is just what's the word I'm looking for? Their rotation is just not very good, and it's only the middle of June. So how they going to solve this? And they haven't solved this team batting average problem with .218.
I was pulling my hair out watching Lucas Giolito walk guys and just couldn't throw a strike. It's like no wonder he was the last free agent to finally come off the board. But the Padres are desperate. I mean, they need an innings eater. So, but even in spite of all that, it's not like the Padres are losing games by 7 or 8 runs. The problem, the pitching has been, generally speaking, good enough to win. It's the hitting. Now, I will say Tatis, bright spot, maybe he's turning the corner. Machado, though, geez, Machado may not be able to fix this the whole season. Do you think he could go the whole year hitting under 200?
I mean, it'd be a shocker. And part of me is of the opinion he's in denial. Part of me is of the opinion he's just condescending, talking to the media all the time. I don't think he's got any answers, because I think he's lost his ability on a swing to get around on pitches. But Tatis is on a heater. He's hitting .397 in the last 3 weeks. That's pretty good. Now they got to get some other guys. They're going to sit stroking it. So we'll see. What this road trip, man, oh man, this is what, Baltimore, Texas, St. Louis, hot box. Holy cow.
Yeah, well, at least Texas is indoors. But yeah, it's going to be bacon.
Okay, thanks, John.
Okay, Steve A. Books. This is a 3-parter, Lee. So quickly, hi, Lee, the World Cup sucks. I feel FIFA is corrupt and greedy, and it furthers an agenda that is anti-United States, in my humble opinion, and anti-individual. I mean, what's your take on FIFA, Lee?
I don't like FIFA. I think it's corrupt. But separate all that. Let's just watch what's on the pitch. Team USA-Paraguay. What I just saw watching chunks of what Canada did in its first game, which was a stunner, coming back, dominating the whole second half, hitting the post, open nets, and then finally scoring about the 88th minute. And Canada winds up with a 1-1 tie, which was pretty damn impressive. And then obviously we got all the superstars still to be delivered. What Argentina is going to be like, what Spain's going to be like, what France is going to be like. So we got a great weekend of soccer with legendary teams. So if we can separate all things Infantino and Trump and just concentrate on the pitch, it'll be a good time. But that other junk is still very much part of this equation, sadly.
But, there's other storylines here with the World Cup. Like, yesterday, South Korea. Did you watch the game, South Korea against Czechia? Yeah, last night. It was like really entertaining, and it was a great match, and South Korea won. But they're showing shots like out in front of the stadium, where all the fans are pouring into the stadium. There's all these good vibes of people from all these different nations, and apparently the South Koreans had gotten a big bottle of tequila that they were the South Koreans. I mean, a group of fans of South Korea had gotten a bottle of tequila. They were trying to sneak it into the stadium, and they couldn't bring the bottle in, so they were sharing shots of tequila with fans from Mexico and all the other international fans there. And there's just a lot of love, where the fans are welcoming, their brothers and sisters around the world. And I like that kind of energy.
And I don't know if you've seen the video this morning. There was a parade, a march in downtown Toronto with everybody draping the Canadian flag. And
cool.
they're marching towards that stadium that the game was played in. That's where the CFL Toronto Argonauts play their home games. So the Canadian fans are going down one side of the street with all their flags, and I want to say Yugoslavian, but it's Bosnia-Herzegovina. The Bosnian fans are walking down the other side of the street with their flags, and they're singing songs. I mean, it was really cool video. So, like I say, politics aside, corruption over here. Don't want to hear from either of those presidents. Red cards to both those presidents. Just pay attention to what's going on in the green grass on the pitch.
Right on. Right on, Lee. Okay,
one.
Let's go here to Richard. He goes, hey, you could have the World Cup. What time do the Angels play tonight?
Now, the Angels get Tampa Bay. Now, the Angels are playing a little bit better baseball. Nice little run. Now, most of them are against the Colorado Rockies and the Houston Astros, which are two of the really weaker teams in baseball. But the Angels get Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay's got 40-plus wins. That's a pretty good team right now. So the Angels got a weekend series with Tampa, and then they go on the road. But the problems with the Angels are still the problems with the Angels, whether it be Artie Moreno or Perry Minasian or the roster. It's just not a complete baseball team. It's never going to be a complete baseball team, and I don't know what's going to change it. And now the national media, John, the New York Times, the Athletic, and the national guys are starting to write a lot of stories about Artie Moreno's failure as an owner, looking back at the history, the mistakes, what they did not get done with Ohtani. And I mean, a lot more people are pinpointing blame strictly at Artie Moreno's ownership of the franchise. It's just not a good environment up in Anaheim right now.
All due respect to Angel Nation, and I know they're going through a tough go and the ownership and everything else. But right now, we got World Cup and the NBA Finals, the NHL Finals. There's a lot going on in the world of sports. Like, even my Padres are way down the pecking order right now. I mean, so it's hard to keep track of all these teams, and what's going on. But, I get it, Angel fan. For you, the Angels mean everything, and
nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, nothing wrong. Okay.
Thanks for joining us.
Well, here we'll go to Teamer, who usually has Angels commentary. He says, Team Iran is all right. They're getting, quote, Chinese food in Tijuana. What do you think, Lee?
Well, it's going to be hard on them because they're going to have to cross the border, and they're only allowed to be in the States for so many hours in a given day. So I wonder if the travel is going to really impact Team Iran, because not all their games in L.A., they got to go to Seattle, too. And they don't play in Mexico. They had to get special dispensation to cross the border, but they can only be here for a certain amount of time per 24 hours, and they have to go back to Mexico. So I wonder if the travel may wear them down. So, and those players are caught in a real tough situation. I'm going to be intrigued to see how they're treated by everybody else, and how are they booed badly here in the United States, or will a lot of people I mean, we have a lot of Middle Easterners here who live in the States. How do they come to the games, and how do they react to their team? How do they react to the people around their team or the treatment their team is getting? It's going to be fascinating to watch that.
Yeah, did you see they were showing some highlights and some photographs of the U.S.-Iran matchup in the 1998 World Cup? Yes. And I thought that was interesting. And the players, now granted, this is in 98, the times were a little different, but not much, in terms of the relationship between the two nations. But the players were just regular people, and they were swapping jerseys. There were smiles and handshakes. And that's kind of cool right here during this whole World Cup and even in the Olympics, is that we can get beyond the BS that we're getting from our talking heads on CNN and all the other TV stations talking about wars and adversity and friction between nations. That's what's cool about the World Cup, is we all come together. And in sports, there's just a lot more, it's a lot of love, a lot of love to be shared.
A lot of respect for the talent on the pitch. And like I say, if we can separate ourselves from all the political stuff and just pay attention to what's going on in the field, you should enjoy the games. Okay, John, move on.
Moving on, let's go to our buddy Sports Fan. Hey, Lee Hacksaw Hamilton, does MLB, NBA, NHL have City Connect jerseys like MLB City Connect jerseys? Not to
the wide variety, but yes, they do. Obviously, Major League Baseball does. The NBA does. They don't play it up as much. The NHL does, but they don't wear them very often. For example, Padre Friday night home games, they wear City Connects every Friday night at home. The other sports do it on just a specific game issue. The National Football League went through the full color scheme, where the Chargers would wear this all dark blue, or the Broncos would wear dark blue or full orange, which kind of looks weird. But they only do it once or twice per season in a 17-game schedule, whereas Major League Baseball does it quite more than that.
Now, wasn't the NFL that monocolor thing just for Thursday Night Football? Or is that right? I don't know.
Yeah, it's changed a couple times. It was it a year ago they did it strictly for Thursday Night Football, and then prior to that, you could wear them once or twice per year.
See, the NFL is just so damn militant about uniforms and rules on uniforms. Like, you go back to Jim McMahon wearing the headband that said Roselle, and, just there's a million little nitty gritty things, that they get on their case. I remember Terrell Owens would always get in trouble because he wasn't tucking in his shirt. Yeah. So I personally like to see sometimes, like the Phoenix Suns have, the PHX, or it'll say the Valley, and kind of other unique forms of representing that region. I think it's kind of neat. And it's also, obviously from a merchandising perspective, it's terrific. These teams are making more money. I have a friend of mine. He only wants to see the classic uniforms. He doesn't want to see the Yankees ever change it. He doesn't want to see the Dodgers or the Giants ever change it. I don't know. I like it when teams are getting a little bit creative, and I think it's fun.
That's why he's not going to send you a Christmas card. That's for certain. Okay, carry on.
Carry on. Okay, let's go here to Roy. He goes, is Manny Machado like a bad marriage you can't get out of?
Well, it's something. His attitude. I'm a big believer in body language, and I see a bad body language display again with Machado. And I saw it in Dodger Stadium, and I saw it a bunch in Baltimore, which is why they wound up trading him. And when he's going good, he's good. And when he's going bad, he's sour. And he's sour on a lot of people, including the media that has to cover him and deal with this. And right now, he's lost. And I tend to think it's age. If you lose your bat speed, you're no longer the same player. And the thing that's, I don't know if I would use the word appalling, but this contract that A.J. Preller gave him to come to San Diego, it's got 7 more years to run. And the next payday is going to be $40 million per year. And if he's lost his bat speed, boy, that's a lot of money for a guy that's no longer the player he used to be. And he's had a hell of a career. I don't know if he's borderline Cooperstown, but he's had a hell of a career in terms of durability and playing an awful lot of years. But that being said, 7 more years of this? You kidding me?
I'll tell you what, though. I felt like I got an explanation finally for what the problem is with Machado, because there's a new hitting coach that was introduced in the offseason, and now Machado is having to unlearn what he learned. And part of the thing that he learned was that the ball needs to travel deeper in the zone, which means you've got to be quicker, like your trigger has got to be faster. And apparently his bat speed isn't as bad of a problem. It's just that he's starting too late. And that's why it seems like he's waving at the ball. But I've always said that Machado, when his career is over, he's definitely a Hall of Famer. I mean, he's in the top 10 of best all-time third baseman now. He'd certainly be in the top 5 by the time his career is over, for sure. So I think he's going to fix it. You know, I do. I have confidence he's going to fix it. The problem is that sometimes he deserves the criticism, especially prior to saying that I suck. I mean, before he was trying to distract it, we got too many stats, there's too many nerds. That was not good. Look, he was pointing the finger elsewhere. He's taken on the blame himself. That's all right, but I don't know. The dude needs to step up. He has to prove that he still deserves this annual salary.
All the rhetoric means absolutely nothing. Guy can't hit 168 the rest of the season. That's the big issue. So it'll be up to him to find a way to get base hits, hit more than just an occasional home run. So tough situation he's in. Tougher situation what the Padres are in with all these aging players and these bad contracts.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Okay, there's a lot of soccer love going on right now. Here's something from Mobello. San Diego soccer's forever.
Good run. I feel really bad because the Soccers are off the radar in San Diego. Obviously, they play at Front Wave Arena, but you know, the league is not what the league used to be. When I broadcast soccer, I came in here with the Cleveland Force, and San Diego Soccers were something really special under Ron Newman at the sports arena. It's just not the same product anymore. It's almost, I hate to say this, it's almost like it's semi-pro. And now obviously they're a little bit more off the radar because of the arrival of MLS and the great growth of the first place San Diego Wave. So it's just not the same thing. But in the bigger picture, man, there's nothing wrong with what we're experiencing right now at the World Cup of Soccer. This is special if we separate all the other stuff and just concentrate what's going on the pitch. But no, great history, tradition, 16-time champion in MLS or in indoor soccer championships for the wide variety of leagues they were in. But once upon a time, they were really special in San Diego and on everybody's radar. They're not now.
They were legit in the 80s.
Yep.
And I remember I was a freshman at UC San Diego in 1982, and I met a guy on campus that was a vendor at the sports arena selling popcorn and Coke. And I says, oh man, can you get me a job there? Because I was like thinking about the Clippers, you know, and it'd be great to work at an NBA game and be there for all of the, you know, to watch the game while you're working and having fun doing it. But I ended up getting assigned to a lot of Clippers games because I got a job there with them. But I also went to a lot of the Soccers games. Right. And I couldn't believe it. I mean, the way the fans showed up to back the Soccers. And these guys, like you say, Ron Newman as a coach did a hell of a job. And like Julie V was like this superhero for the team, the way he was introduced. And it's interesting, you learn more about these guys, that they were all legit outdoor soccer stars. But back then, they were in the twilight of their career, finding ways to still make money as a pro.
Well,
but
yeah,
it is weird. It's different now.
Well, they had Stevie Zungel, who I think was supreme, and then obviously Julie V. I met a guy from Northern Ireland. His name was Brian Quinn. He turned out to be a very good indoor player. Now he's a college coach. So, I mean, there have been so many good players that came through here, but the league is no longer what the league used to be. It used to be in major markets and used to have a lot of good players on other teams, and it's just not that way again. It's not to take anything away from the guys that are currently playing. You know, Craig Childs just retired, who set all types of scoring records, but he's not held in the same level of esteem as Julie V or Stevie Zungel was, and it's too bad. The sport changed. Everything around the team changed Franchises came and went. Leagues came and went. They're doing okay, but it's not on anybody's radar anymore, sadly. For a specific group of old-time San Diego soccer fans, it really is. It's still important, but it's in the bigger picture, it's just not the same anymore.
Yeah, I remember they were playing at that small arena at the Del Mar Fairgrounds for a while.
Yep.
A good friend of mine from UCSD is the photographer for the Sockers. And he does a great job. He's always supporting the team, sharing on social media. So there still is a loyal following to that team. But yeah, it's not what it used to be. But I again, as a soccer fan in San Diego, I'm thrilled MLS is here because it makes me feel like I'm part of this global community finally.
Yep. And
now we're going to be on the big stage on the World Cup.
Okay, we carry on. Go ahead. Next one, John.
This, I think you'll go to social media comments. This was a good one here. And this is from the Mad Pooch. He says, as I recall, Lee Hamilton was the play-by-play announcer for the Mohawk Valley Comets in the early to mid-1970s. He saw the Johnstown Jets and Mohawk Valley Comets play often and probably did see what the Carlson brothers were like. I think Lee Hamilton used to describe the Carlson brothers' actions similarly to how Vince McMahon would describe WWE heels a year ago.
Well, it was a unique time. I've never, ever forgotten my journey in the minor leagues and riding the buses and drinking beer with the boys and being on the Iron Lung. And that, of course, led into the movie Slapshot, which was a takeoff on who the Johnstown Jets were. And the Carlson brothers were real people. They were portrayed as the Hanson brothers at the end of the day in Johnstown. But 85 to 90% of that story in Slapshot is absolutely true, which is why we did the movie review about Slapshot, which has gotten so many looks on our YouTube channel. So it was a unique era. I made friends in hockey in the 1970s that I'm still friends with, and some of the players, obviously a few of the coaches I was with in Mohawk Valley. And I never forgot my trips into the Cambria County War Memorial. You know, John, we had a tradition where I was in the minor leagues in hockey. I don't know where the tradition came from, but Mohawk Valley used to play in Johnstown every New Year's Eve. And it was a 9-hour bus trip one way from Utica to Johnstown. And you would travel all day, get to the arena, get your ass kicked, because that was a pretty good team once the Carlson brothers, aka the Hanson brothers, arrived. Get your ass kicked 9-1 and get back on the bus on New Year's Eve and go 9 hours back to upstate New York to go home. It was a terrible tradition. But I spent 4 New Year's Eves on the bus with the boys, getting our brains beat in by the Johnstown Jets.
I love all this hockey history with you. So I remember, like, before you were on the air, before the Ducks were a franchise, I think.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I remember listening to you on 690, and you're talking hockey, and the only hockey team like anywhere near us was the Kings. You'd have to probably go up to Seattle or something, or British Columbia to find another team nearby. And you were always talking hockey, and I was like, who in the hell talks hockey on the West Coast? And so now I understand why you talk hockey, because it's your background. But I want to get the story straight here. Is that classic hacksaw mustache? That's what comes from your time as a hockey guy, right?
That's where I started growing it. At one point, it was black hair or brown hair, and at one time it was Fu Manchu, because everybody in hockey, that's what everybody had. So yeah. And I was a good-looking dude then. Now I'm an older-looking, good-looking dude now. Thank you.
You look marvelous. Okay. All right. Let's go here to who's the next guy here? Oh, this is Irving. Hey, Jalen Brunson, the best Nick ever. Easily the numbers don't lie. Nice, quick video.
Oh, he's a gamer. That's a big-time basketball player. Now, my only concern about Brunson, and he dribbles the basketball so much trying to get his shot. It's like the whole offense stops. Whereas I think if the Knicks went to a faster passing game, move that ball, they'd get a lot easier looks. But there's no doubt the heart and the courage of this guy to stay with it. And, his first couple of games, he was shooting 27% from the floor. And then he got better, and then he got hot, and then he starts hitting. But he makes shots in traffic like nobody makes shots in traffic. So he's a really great player. Can you believe the Knickerbockers are on the brink of winning the NBA championship? The Knickerbockers? I mean, this is not Clyde Frazier. This is not Willis Reed. This is not Bill Bradley Knickerbocker basketball. But you're correct. Brunson is just a hell of a competitor. Captain Clutch.
He is. He's tremendous. And I know he went to Villanova, but I don't really remember him from Villanova. Was he on the championship team that they had, I don't know, was it 5 or 6 years ago?
Yeah, but he wasn't there very long. I don't know if he was one and done. He's the son of Rick Brunson. He wound up going to Dallas, and they didn't work with him. He didn't stay there very long. Next thing you know, he's in New York, and look what he's evolved with under Mike Brown. So, you know, Brunson's another maverick player that got away or was let go or traded away. But speaking of Mike Brown, boy, I tell you what, you go back and if you read some history of what Mike Brown's accomplished as a head coach in all these different locales, John, he's done some really great things with teams. I mean, he built this Knickerbocker team from all absolute ground zero. He developed this whole bench and found a way to make Karl Anthony Towns a much more complete basketball player. And you look at what he did, it wasn't just LeBron James. It was Mike Brown had a lot of input into doing some of those things too in Cleveland. And then obviously he had some, a couple good seasons with the Lakers, and he made Sacramento a 40-win team. I think they won 48 games. Sacramento. So, Mike Brown, I think, is a really, really good coach.
Yeah, very well deserved. But what was the reason he got fired by the Lakers? Was this before J.J. Redick came on board, or was it a disagreement with LeBron? I mean, help me remember the history.
Off the top of my head, I think it had to do with player personnel acquisitions, and I think there might have been some player uneasiness, maybe LeBron, or who was the European player that came that played pretty well here for the ex-Chicago Bull, that played pretty well here, and then he got old. But there were some problems with him too. Tony Kukoc, So I think there were some player issues with Brown, but Brown's become a more complete, probably a better coach now than he was when he was the Lakers.
Wait a minute, isn't Tony Kukoc? Didn't he play for the Bulls around the Michael Jordan era? Is that who you're talking about? No,
it couldn't have been Kukoc.
You're not talking about Luka Doncic?
No. There was
there was Schrader. Remember Schroeder? He was a German guy.
No, this is one of the big men. There was some rift between Mike Brown and him, and Mike Brown and LeBron James.
Okay. All right. Okay, let's keep on going. All right, let's go here to Flipper. And this is funny. Let's talk about the Major League Baseball and the battle between the union and the owners. Because I'm sort of reticent on being like San Diego. Maybe earlier this year, or we are dealing with the repercussions of the said financial deals. Every player that wants a bigger deal, and the MLB Players Association is putting their hopes on our team that obviously spent well beyond their means. Well, that argument is not working out so well now.
Well, it's interesting, John, because I wrote a column about a week ago on my One Man's Opinion piece on my website. And I know the Padres got access to the column. I did not catch any flack from the Padres. And normally if I write something or say something, somebody from within there will just respond to me, say you're right on this or you're wrong on this. I got no response at all, which means everything I wrote in that column about Peter Seidler putting all the chips in the middle of the table, but it wasn't sustainable, all that's come true. And that's why the franchise is being sold. And at the end of the day, new owner comes in. They've tapped this market for every dollar they can. So, and when the union stood up, and I thought it was very, very wrong for Bruce Meyer to make the comment, everybody should be like San Diego, because I know the inner workings of the finances of the Padres, and they are hemorrhaging money. Despite how good the product is and despite what they're drawing, they are hemorrhaging money. Their debt load is unbelievably high. So for Bruce Meyer to say everybody should be like San Diego, that's not necessarily true, because he didn't say the rest of the issue that I wrote about in my column. So if you're, go to my website, just scroll back, you'll find that Padres baseball column, be like San Diego, is not necessarily true. Now, do they have to have a floor to spending? Hell yes. Is there more ways to create a pot of gold to be shared by everybody? Hell yes. Which is why I also said I don't want to hear any rhetoric about a lockout. Just take the best of what you proposed and the best of what baseball proposed, merge it, and let's keep these games played and not have a shutdown of baseball in 2027. But you can't say be like San Diego, because this formula, in all essence, has not totally worked, because they're leaving behind a mountain of debt that the new owner has to pay off.
Well, going into negotiations, that's a good thing to say, right? Because you've got a team that has spent the money. Now, the Players Association doesn't care if the owners go bankrupt or lose money. They just want to maximize the amount of money they make. So that makes sense from a negotiating perspective. They're going to, each set boundaries, and they're going to find a way to meet in the middle. But as far as the San Diego strategy is concerned, and you were talking about Seidler and putting all the money on the table, we could go back to even like the Will Myers trade and the signing of Matt Kemp and a lot of other players that were signed for big money like Xander Bogaerts. Do you think AJ was the cheerleader for that, or was AJ being more prudent, more cautious, and Seidler was just putting all the money on the table because he knew he was in a bad health and he wanted to make this team win? Like, for these big contracts that everyone points to is so bad, who is to blame, I think, for that?
End of the day, AJ's mandate was, we have this money, let's build the best team we can, see how far we can go. I understand that. I have no problem with paying superstars, as AJ did, big money. I have a problem with giving players 10, 12, and 14-year contracts, and that has what come back to haunt them. Machado is a really established player. Home run hitter, Gold Glove third baseman, always hit for average. But to give somebody a contract that's going to stretch 12 years, that's ridiculous. Bogaerts is a really good player with the Red Sox. Deserves state-of-the-art money, but not a 12-year contract. They gave Tatis a 14-year contract. That was a great young player, but he's not, right at this point, he's not the same player as he was prior to the injuries and the suspension. And historically, AJ is overpaid for everybody. All the draft picks that he got, he overpaid. He bribed guys. And then he traded those guys away after they gave him a whole bunch of money. And he got, he may have gotten other players in return. So the methodology of overpaying for everybody, I guess my golden retriever could be a successful general manager if he overpaid for everybody. Now, whether or not he made the right trades or not remains to be seen. So this is more on AJ than it's just Peter Seidler's wealth, because AJ is the one that made the determination. Is it an 8-year contract, a 10-year contract, or in some cases a 14-year contract? Holy cow. And, and then you give you Darvish mega money on a deal with a history of arm problems. And he gave Shields ridiculous money. And then they had to eat money to get other clubs to take these contracts off their books. So AJ went to Cornell University. He must have cut economics classes the day he went to Cornell. I understand the intent. I understand the wishes to make this a really good product, but we haven't gotten to a World Series. I haven't sat in a press box for a World Series game yet in this regime. So that's kind of tough.
Yeah. I mean, we've been waiting for a World Series forever, Lee. But, it's interesting how the mathematics of these contracts, the rules, I'm going to put that in air quotes, are different. Like, for example, it's when you sign someone like Bogaerts, was it 14 years? I mean, it does sound ludicrous, but they really don't expect that he's going to play the full 14 years. It's just a way that they can guarantee a big pot of gold and spread it out over a longer period of time so they could stay, below a salary cap level, knowing full well at the end of the contract, they're going to be eating it. But at the end of the contract, the revenue and the profitability in the sport is going to be so much higher. So they're making a gamble on the future growth of the sport. So, which then goes back to the fact, we're having these labor negotiations. Don't, kill the golden goose here. Find a way to make a deal, and hopefully the players and owners will get together on that.
Well, I give Machado and Bogaerts and Tatis, I give them state-of-the-art money, but I don't give them state-of-the-art money that's 12 years or 14 years down road. I think that's bad economics, I believe. Okay, let's move on.
Okay, let's go here and talk a little bit about the luxury tax. And this is from Steven. Oh, this is when we were talking about the Dodgers owner saying baseball needs parity, which we were surprised by that comment. Oh, that was some time ago. He says, taxing teams' TV contracts is crazy. What's next? Taxing teams for making more money selling beer? It's a step towards communism in baseball. Taxing teams for making more money will put a worse product on the field. Why would an organization try if they're going to make the same amount of money?
End of the day, what was proposed was really different than I ever expected. How Rob Manfred convinced the Yankees and the Dodgers and the Red Sox and the Cubs and all the big markets who are making mega money to put all their TV money into a pot of gold, that's really impressive. There will be more money for the players to carve up because it'll be full TV revenue share. You know, this season, the last year of the contract, the Dodgers and everybody else would put 48% of their TV revenue into the pot. So the pot is here. The next TV contract, or the next set of contracts, it'll be 100% goes into the pot of gold, which means it'll be this high. There'll be a lot of money for a lot of different people to cut up and share with the players. Now, there's obviously some give back, but the health of the sport is the most important thing. And now, I'm not in favor of a salary cap. I'm in favor of a luxury tax. You make the threshold luxury tax a little bit higher. That's more money that clubs would spend, but it'll go into that pot of gold too with the TV money. So this is a very, very complex set of circumstances. Baseball needs to have all 30 teams really competitive, not the way it is now where you got teams that are spending $60 million in payroll and $80 million in payroll and not putting great products on the field. So I wish I had a different explanation. There's a lot of money to be made. The sport is at an all-time high in terms of popularity, in terms of its demographics of who's going to games. So don't sit there and name call each other. Sit there and negotiate off the strengths of what you offered and what the other guy offered and find a middle ground. Does that make sense, John?
Dag nabbit, this is a step towards communism. This is America, darn it. Where we believe in capitalism. I used to have a struggle with this concept that Steven's bringing in, which is how, generally speaking, my views on the economy are very free market. But in sports, I make an exception to that because in sports, I want there to be some level of, not exact parity, but I don't want to have one, dominant team that crushes everybody. I don't need an Amazon for sports. I want to be able to have some competitive balance where in the world of business, I don't think it's fair, that companies are trying to be built into like a perfect competitive model. I think it's nonsense economically, but for the sports, I think it makes sense. So in this case, it's actually interesting that baseball, that the Dodgers with the biggest TV package is willing to share, some of their wealth. They probably have their eyes on a bigger picture here, Lee.
I'm going to be intrigued to see as we go farther into 2026, what are the intangible things that have to be put into this negotiating? They'll show up on the table. Is baseball going to adopt NFL free agency where you can franchise tag a star player and he won't count against the cap? What are you going to allow creatively for the Dodgers to put all their money into the pot of gold? What are you giving all these big teams? So there's some stuff we don't know about the specifics yet of other facets of this collective bargaining agreement that are going to be part of this. Are you going to limit how many players you're going to have under deferred money? How do you configure the Dodger deferred money that goes to 2036? How does that go into what you're going to operate with now? So there's intangible things here that are part of the arithmetic, if you will, the calculus of the collective bargaining agreement that we're going to have to pay attention to. It'll be fascinating going forward because we don't know all the components yet. And I really got to believe that baseball, because they didn't reveal everything, I got to believe that baseball's reached out and taken some ideas that the NFL has, the NHL has, the NBA has, and they're going to put that into the mix of these negotiations for baseball. So There's a lot more creative stuff that we're going to find out about going forward as spring turns to summer, summer turns to fall before we get to the deadline.
Yeah, right on. And just as a follow-up to this, Swellin Sausage, one of the funnier names, he says, hey, sports are always better when one team dominates. Look at the Yankees back in the 50s and 40s and 30s.
Well, it's interesting. The Dodgers made a comment that we're not bad for baseball. The Dodgers comment was, we go to San Diego, we go to San Francisco, we go to Citi Field. Everybody wants to see our players, and they sell out. So, in essence, he's correct. I hated the M&M boys, Mantle and Maris. But wherever the Yankees went, that was must-see TV for me because I want to see how the Detroit Tigers, Frank Larry, the Yankee killer pitcher, pitched against Mantle and Maris. So it's good. But at the end of the day, you want more good product.
Yes.
In all 30 locations in baseball.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we don't want to see like teams that are like AAA, like hanging around, So, and also from Swellin Sausage, he had another good one here. He goes, the Mighty 690 should still be going. And Sports Fan says, I think the Mighty 690 should be a streaming online app. What do you think?
Well, we had a great run, and then corporate management came in and ruined it. Sometime we'll have to take a sidebar and tell a story about what happened to 690, what happened to 1090, because it was the same set of circumstances. But it's a different time in broadcasting, just like it's a different time in journalism. Just like, unfortunately, it's a different time in television. Look what just happened to CBS and 60 Minutes and what's going to happen maybe next to CNN. So it's just a very, very different time. But yeah, 690 was really different. 1090, I thought in a short span of time did a really good job, but the economics caught up to them. Corporate radio ownership changed everything, and we all became free agents. That doesn't mean we didn't love it. Doesn't mean we didn't do a good job, because I think we did a hell of a job. It's just a different time right now.
You did a hell of a job. I mean, I was a big fan. So anyways, hey, go Team USA today, right, Lee?
I concur with you. Hey, we thank you for being part of this podcast and being flexible, because we're normally here Mondays and Thursdays at 1:30, but because we're in this middle of the renovation of studios, sometimes we have to change. But listen, check my website, leehacksawhamilton.com. Subscribe, become part of the insiders group so you can get access to the newsletters. Give us a thumbs up, hit the follow button, give us a 5-star rating on Apple. That really helps our growth a great deal. You enjoy the World Cup. Cannot wait for Team USA. And obviously, big weekend. Padres road trip, NBA Finals, Stanley Cup Finals, and a reminder, we'll be back Monday at 1:30 because we'll talk about it all then. Podcast brought to you by DIXIELINE Lumber and Home Centers, 8 locations to serve you in San Diego. John, have yourself a great sports weekend. We'll see you come Monday. Thanks for being with us.
Okay. Hey, here I get to say something that I don't normally ever say, Lee. Make America great again, man. Let's go World Cup USA.
USA, USA, I agree with you. And you have a great sports weekend. Thanks for being with us on Hacksaw's Headlines.
Join us again for Hacksaw's Headlines on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. And find the audio version on your favorite podcast app. For more content, go to leehacksawhamilton.com.